Well, boys and girls, I hope you're feeling based and red pilled today because we're doing a deep dive into the first ever red pill influencer. Now you might be sitting there and you're like, hey, it's Andrew Tate. No. Donald Trump? Certainly not. Sneeko? Shut up and just listen. The person we're looking at today was born in 1911. He was a lifeguard, a governor, an actor, and most importantly, a president. Today, we're taking a look at Ronald Wilson Reagan.
In the Senate, and he opposed even President Carter when toward the end of his term, President Carter wanted to increase the defense budget.
Fine. Maybe I'll really get to meet Ronald Reagan.
Did someone say my name?
Believe with all my heart that our first priority must be world peace.
Merry Christmas! Merry
Running alongside. So he stepped on the gas, he got it up to about 60, and the chicken caught up with him and was right beside him again, and then he thought, as he was looking at him, that the chicken had 3 legs.
But first, a quick mention from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is me. I'm building a studio. You might notice my mic is crap. It's a literal lapel. Terrible. The mic setup, I used to have a really nice mic. It still exists. It's just in the studio. We're working on it. I was like, I'm going to build my own thing. Hanging drywall, a lot harder than I thought it'd be. I used to do it in the past, but now I have to do it at an angle, and I suck at it, and we're figuring that out. So as I put more money into sinking into that, here's where we're at in my living room right now. Okay, back to the real video. So Ronald Reagan has a very long history, and what stops me from just picking any random president from being the first red pill president, right? I mean, I could literally just be like George Washington. Go even farther back, be like Genghis Khan, Julius Caesar, anybody, right? Julius Caesar was the first ever canceled person, but that's a story for another day. The reason I picked Reagan is because so much of his ideology is still carried on to this day. So much of what he did in American culture in 1980 is still one of the major talking points of not only the Republican Party, but of people who call themselves right-leaning influencers. And here's why I believe that. First, let's start with one of the most interesting things he's ever done, and that is how he met his wife, Nancy. So, in the 1930s, he's doing some acting. Late 1930s, he's already been in like 19 movies. He's doing pretty good for himself, and one day, Nancy comes up to him, and she's like, hey, I'm getting blacklisted from Hollywood because they think I'm a communist sympathizer. And Ronald Reagan, being the very nice, kind man that we all know him to be. He loves jelly beans. He can't do anything wrong. Convinces everybody that she's not a communist sympathizer, and they fall in love. A story as old as time. America government thinking you're a communist sympathizer, and the big strong man saving you from that belief. They fall in love. They start their whole relationship, and then he becomes governor of California. That's pretty cool. Very interesting how California is just like, hey, you're an actor. Now you're a governor. And then finally, his biggest move, 1980s, he becomes the President of the United States. And the idea of the nuclear family is something that comes out, and it is one of the strong points of the based ideology. When it comes to being red-pilled, you support the idea of a 2-parent household with a strong, my cat just jumped on something, with a strong male figure, a couple of kids, you're living in that white picket fence household. It's literally the idea of the perfect family. Now it goes by a bunch of names, but now I've already popped it up on the screen, but that ideology is what so much of the idealism is today. Strong male figure. The idea of that family, a loyal woman, it's all there. And Ronald Reagan is the guy who continued it. Now, Ronald Reagan was also friends with Oliver North.
Holy North, Holy North. You see, North secretly sold missiles to a harmless country called Iran.
Story for another day. This is not a piece where I'm like, Ronald Reagan was the greatest guy ever. Because that's not today's story. Today's story is just looking about how a president like Ronald Reagan's ideologies could be carried on to this day. Granted, his vice president Bush, when he took over, didn't go too well for him. He was viewed much less favorably, and I would say they would say he was not based and red-pilled. But it's very interesting to see because Republicans weren't always as far right-leaning, and I know a lot of people will be like, yes, they were. No, like look at Nixon. Nixon literally created the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. Do you think a Republican today would create the EPA? No! Ronald Reagan made so many changes, plus he was an actor, plus his charisma on television carried him into legacy status, and that charisma is what caused so many people to love and support him, making him truly the first ever red pill influencer. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Bye.